What does concern me is our absence of contact with the Taliban. Will it suit the Taliban to earn India's enmity? But you mentioned IC-814. I was on the Kandahar airport during those terrible days.
Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times. I'm Aditi Prasad, and with me today is Vivek Kachu, former secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs and former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan. We're talking to him today, even as the Taliban has gained massive grounds in Afghanistan over the last several days. Is it
Thank you.
not a matter of why, but a matter of when Taliban will come back to power in Afghanistan? Do you believe that to be the case?
I think that if the Kabul elite continues the way it has functioned over the last 2 decades, showing a lamentable lack of unity, then it is inevitable that the Taliban will gain further ground and become a very, very significant factor in Afghan affairs, if not the dominant factor. Taliban are on the move, and what the government is claiming that they are resisting. Yes, they are resisting. But how effective is the government's resistance at the moment is questionable.
How does this advance of Taliban impact India in the near term and in the long term, according to you?
Well, in the near term, the impact is clearly before you. We've had to, whatever the government may say, we've actually wound up our consulate in Kandahar. Earlier, on account of both COVID as well as security reasons, we had wound up our consulates in Herat and Jalalabad, and the only consulate which now remains is Mazar-e-Sharif. As of now, it appears that we are holding on, but if the security situation deteriorates, then of course we'll have to pull our people out from there too. So consequently, I think, to use a word I used in this article, our footprint has shrunk. So that is clearly not a happy situation for us. Conversely, for Pakistan, because Pakistan is a factor in Afghan affairs, it is a matter of satisfaction because they resisted the opening of our consulates. They tried to influence the Afghans against giving us permission to open these 4 offices. What does concern me is our absence of contact with the Taliban. Let me mention 2 things. The first is that, of course, the Taliban has been nurtured by Pakistan and their connections are very close. But in the world of diplomacy, despite these close connections, when there is a group like the Taliban, it is appropriate to have contacts with them, and open contacts, especially if they've gained legitimacy internationally, which they clearly have. The Americans have entered into a peace deal with them. The Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians are also talking to them. They are inviting them. The Taliban delegations are going to their capital. Now, in this process, India is standing out. Why? That engaging them does not mean that we disengage ourselves with Kabul. We have a strategic partnership agreement with Afghanistan, and the authorities in Kabul are involved in it. We have close ties. We are giving them military assistance. All that can continue. And that is not in any way contrary to adherence to principles like principles on gender issues, principles on treatment of minorities. That does not mean that we do not stress and emphasize that violence is not acceptable and condemn violence.
there are some people that in the foreign affairs ministry who you know off the record have said that talking to Taliban will be like talking to terrorists. Will it might dilute India's stand on the international fora and reduce the pressure on Pakistan, because there's this whole good terrorist, bad terrorist thing that Pakistan rolls out.
The Chinese face some violence. The Russians have faced it. The Iranians have faced it. There was a time when, in the 1990s, when Russia and Iran and India were assisting, I won't go into details, but were assisting forces ranged against the Taliban. Has it prevented the Russians and the Iranians? Has it diluted their opposition to terrorism? I think these are questions that we must seriously ask ourselves. Whether, if we engage with the Taliban, whether that would have meant that we couldn't have said that Lashkar and Jaish are terrorist groups which are supported by Pakistan and are taking action against us, and that this is not acceptable. Of course we could. That's the way the world is. That is the way the diplomatic game proceeds. But the situation on the ground, as is clear from media reports that are coming in, from the few conversations I've had with friends in Afghanistan, shows me that this is a time for great pragmatism, for conveying directly to Afghan parties, all Afghan parties, including the Taliban, that what India's security concerns are, what will be a no-no for India, that we want engagement, Afghan people, and it is clearly evident that we have assisted all Afghans. We've had no favorites there. And we've never interfered in Afghan affairs. But by the same token, we expect that Afghanistan will not be used against us. And if some groups there want to break and cross our red line, then we will be compelled to act in our security interests. And we will act in our security. Our External Affairs Minister, who's a very astute person, who has great diplomatic experience, has been saying that India wants a legitimate government, and that a government that is acquired by force will not have international legitimacy. I think in principle what he is saying is correct. But is that the reality? If the Taliban were to acquire power by force, there is no immediate likelihood there. Will the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, and other members of the international community deny them the kind of legitimacy that was denied to them in the 1990s? I think that is a question that the Indian diplomatic establishment must seriously think about. I think the world has changed. The connections of these countries with the Taliban have changed.
How the situation in Afghanistan could be, as some experts have said, a harbinger of more trouble in Jammu and Kashmir.
Look, in strategic affairs, I think it is always wise to prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. And therefore, if our security managers want to bolster our defenses, should the worst case scenario of a large number of people being free in Afghanistan be diverted to Jammu and Kashmir comes about, then we are not taken by surprise. And I think the Indian state has weathered many storms in Jammu and Kashmir, and it is fully capable of dealing with any eventuality that arises. The valor, the skills, the patriotism of our defense forces is sufficient to meet any challenge. However, will it suit the Taliban to earn India's enmity by doing that, which it surely will? Now, I, for one, believe that if we engage with the Taliban, we can tell them very clearly that behave as Afghans, behave in Afghan national interest. Even if you are close to Pakistan, that is this right of any Afghan party to decide the kind of relations that it wishes to have with any other state. All that we can tell them is don't allow yourselves to be used by another state against our interests. Because it will not be in the long term interests of either Afghanistan or the region, because our capacities to absorb conflict has been shown in the last 75 years.
If we were to do it, but there is not everyone else has an IC-814 type incident behind them, right?
Let me answer that. Yes,
Yes.
it's also a fact that some elements of the Taliban have been used to undertake violence against our diplomatic missions, and we've lost lives. And there must be justice for those lives. But you mentioned IC-814. I was on the Kandahar airport during those terrible days. But great powers always focus on their strategic interests. They get justice for their people. They have memories. They never forget and never forgive. But they focus on interest, on strategic interest. And that is the lesson of history. So even if there has been 814, and even if the Taliban played a role, while ensuring that in time we bring those who perpetrated that terrible act, and one of our citizens lost his life, and we can't forgive that. Yet, India's strategic concerns demand a course of diplomatic action, to my mind, and that we can't overlook.